Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Our Crafting, where we learn, grow and craft together. In today's session, we are going to add an extra flap on one of the fold outs so that we can make tags, and we are going to look at a masterboard again. All these tiny little strips that were cut off after I had included the paper in my accordion journal. So here we are busy with our accordion. The front page, I'm not going to add anything. No pages glued there. We added some pockets, a pocket to tuck spot on this side. Last time we did it together, I've gone ahead and I added paper right through the journal. Now the flaps are also covered, and we will be adding more things. This is the only yellow sheet that I kept, that buttermilk yellow. I must be honest, I did not like the look of it, so I ripped it out or torn off from the black cover, and then I started adding my own steampunk theme paper. Now these are not commercially available. You might recognize some of the images here and there. Those are available, but as I said, these are my own papers. So there we have that. We still have quite a few flaps that we need to actually cover and do things with, but the one that I want us to work with is the one on this side. What I want us to do is we're going to add a piece here that we can then add some journal cards to, or tags, depends on how wide you want to make this. Now we're going to do a strip like this, and we're going to glue it in the middle as well. We can't do stitching at this stage. You can if you really want to. However, I do not have my sewing machine out, so I won't be doing any stitching, and we will attach that there, and we will then go ahead to make the masterboard so that we can either make a tags or journal cards. At this point, I cannot decide whether it will be journal cards or tags. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's see what we have here. This piece might work or maybe not. We have to attach it there. It will just be too short, though that might work. Let me just make a mark there for myself. It's about there. So we're going to just cut that down, right on that edge, straight down with a ruler and our cutting tool. I never throw any of the extra cardstock or papers away, hence why we're doing a masterboard today, so that I can show you how to make the most of your, oh, it just fits in, just fits in. How lucky are we? That is quite fortunate. So on this one, we're just going to trim it off there. Keep that little bit. It can easily become a ticket, but at one point one needs to decide what is enough and what is not enough to keep. So this needs to be added there. I'm going to glue it to the ends, and for this I'm going to put glue to this side. Now let's just see to where this is coming, just so that we know where to put glue. Just there and there with a pencil so that you can barely see it. And we're going to attach it there and there and then we will trim the excess off. So I'm going to add glue to here. Yes, a fine tip nozzle would be perfect for this. Don't move too far away from the edge, because that takes away some of your space to put in your tags or journal cards, or whatever ephemera it is that you want to put in this pocket. Now in the middle, down there, I'm just going to put a bit of glue there, and we're going to attach this to there, make sure it fits properly. Again, that access card, gift card, or credit card, bank card, whatever you have at your disposal. Now we're going to just trim the excess off there and around the corners. There's a little bit extra there, but we can trim that off by hand. This can prove to be a little bit tricky. Just round it. There we go. And I will turn this one over so that I can easier cut this side and just trim that off. And the little bit extra there, that is showing. There we go. So we have those pieces trimmed. And this should be perfect. Just going to erase those little lines that we made to know where we should glue it. So this would then be the pocket. If I show you there, you can see where it is attaching itself in the middle, and this side. We can leave that so that that can dry properly. In the meantime, we will go ahead and make the masterboard. So we will get back to this one. I've got plenty of cuts from adding paper to the accordion journal. So I will be using those. I'm just grabbing those quickly. I've got quite a number of little sheets. And they're all from the paper. I'm going to use an A4 cardstock. This is 100 grams. So you can add long strips, small strips, whatever it is that you want. You can trim it off and use little bits of it later on. But we're going to fold this up. Now I left my glue open for quite some time, so it's a bit thick as the top layer dried a little bit. Just want to get that extra off. So let's add this. No rhyme or reason, you can do it in whatever order you want. Don't focus on directionality, just cover the page, as we will still be adding more stamping and labels and things like that to this. Now sometimes it's quicker to just glue down a bit of glue and fold the spots. Other times, if you might have more time, you can sit and glue the individual parts. I know some people are using glue books or pages of glue books or books to glue down on. And we can come back and overlap some. Remember, if you want to trim it, just simply fold it over and slice it with your box cutter, craft knife, Stanley knife, whatever you want to refer to it as. I like to turn my page so that I can then fill it up from all kinds of directions so that we don't have the issue of directionality at the end. There are little pieces open like that. Don't worry, we will find something to cover up later. I will continue to fold this up off camera so that I do not bore you stiff. I'm sure you know how to glue pieces of paper to cardstock. So we are back after gluing all the pieces to the cardstock. Got only a few little bits left from all those scrap pieces. This can easily be turned into little labels. I have a session on that in the previous series on how to make your own labels. Basically, and I'll just tell you without giving you the sizes, you had something like this. Let's just trim this off so it makes more sense. white side from the double-sided printing. So you will take something like this and then you add it to a bigger piece of cardstock. So if this was cardstock, you would then glue this. No, they're not making contrast. Let's do this. We'll take this one. So you will have something that is a tiny little bit bigger, like half a centimeter bigger right around, and you will then stamp on it, write on it, numbers, whatever you want to add, and that will be an awesome little label. Just to give you a proper visual, so you would trim it more or less like this. And there's a shark's tooth there. So this could then be a little label that you can glue down. Yes, the contrast is not so great, but there you have it. If you look at that, so that will be a little label that you can make. I prefer cardstock as the backing for the little label, but these both will be used for bigger labels that I then can glue down on cardstock. So let's finalize our masterboard. I've glued all the parts all over. There's one tiny little white strip here. It looks as if I missed it, but it was from that piece that has got a piece of white to the side, where I originally didn't trim it too well. I just felt something that was standing up. Let me just fix that. There we go. I'm going to use archival ink in ground espresso, and I'm going to just stamp away on here. Now, steampunk, oh no, it's all that industrial things. I love globes, so I will be using that. And I'm doing ground espresso so that it is a tiny little bit darker. Yes, a block would be easier. Always a stamping block would make a proper impression. Let me just get the glue stick out of the way for a tiny little bit. Just stamp up the stamp, and we can stamp in all kinds of directions so that you never have the issue of directionality. Tim Holtz just brought out a new stamp set, and I am totally in love with the inspector. It fits so nice with the others. I'll show you in a little bit. So amazing. So the release was last night. He had his session, and the maker showing their makes as well. Any and everywhere can be added. It doesn't have to be in one direction only. It just brings everything together. There we go. Then I want to just get the smaller set. I want to use, let's do this. This set is called, I'll tip it over, Tiny Things. There's quite a number of little steampunk vintagey things on there. So let's do the typewriter first. And no, we're not going to add all of these here, but a number of them would be sufficient. We need a hot air balloon, so let's get that stamped up. Maybe those two are too close to each other, but let's see how we will cut it. We might just be lucky that they are nowhere close to each other. And what else will we add here? Maybe the globe. Maybe something here. And I think we need something there still. There we go. I think that is okay for now. So let's cut this up. I'll just take these little scraps away. I normally, at the end of a project, make a masterboard, so I work down the scraps immediately and then use the masterboard in the project, and it is utilized because it's the same type of paper. So we're going to turn this over. There's a bit of ink on my cutting mat. Just line it up nicely and let's start cutting. So I'm cut one down so that it can easily be made into a belly band, and we will trim it down because the page, let me just get the accordion, if we look at that, it is just a tiny little bit too long for us to use it as it is, but that can easily be a tiny tuck spot or a tiny tag in the end. So let's do some journal cards. I really don't know what is on the other side of this. I'm just going to take this one and put the same there so that they are sort of the same size. I'll cut this in half now. Now this one, it's 21 centimeters. So what we need to do is get it down at 10.5, which will be very wide. So let's do 5, maybe 5.5. Let's see, maybe like so. And I'm sure this will fit into our little pocket. Then, just so that we get the same size, I'm going to move this one over as well. And this one is then slightly wider, which is not an issue. Let's see what we have. So we've got this belly band that can easily be shorter tags, can be a belly band, maybe stay that. We have that one, this one, and that one. So we can still embellish it, and we still need to cut this in half. So let's go ahead. This one looks a little bit skewed to me. It indeed is skewed. Can you imagine that? So let's just trim that, because that will be our eyesore. And let's just check these if they are also skew. Indeed. Indeed. Luckily we can fix that. And there we have those ones. We will work that off now. The easy way to do this is to just bend it over. Automatically there is already a bend where the paper is stopping, so you can measure this if you want to, or just simply eyeball it and then cut them accordingly. Let's just move this across. Ten and a half. I just simply counted the blocks because each block is a centimeter. So there we have those. I'm going to go ahead and just round the edges of these cards. So let's do the medium one, which is 7 millimeters. And that's what I love about these corner rounders. They tell you the size on the actual rounding. And this one is chewing the paper somehow. Could it be that the glue is not dry yet? Which seems a little bit impossible. We can still embellish these however we wish. So these cards are not yet done. I like this way with the little globe facing upward. So we've got that. And now these ones, I want to just trim those so that we have tags. So I'll use this. If you don't have the corner rounder, that will do the slanted edges. Remember with the, this was my ID card, you can just cut it however you wish. Smaller one, that one, and trim it. So let's do one. Line it up so that it is flush on that side and flush on top. And you can do it two ways. You can use this piece that you just cut off, and flip it over, or you can just turn the card over. Again, just make sure they flush, top and to the side, cut that off. If you don't have a card like this, you can simply snip it off, turn it over, and then cut the other side. Don't make the mistake of just using it like that. It will not work. Then just cut the other way. So there we have one tag. Let's do this one. I'm going to use this very same so that we actually have the same tags. So snip that off, flip this over, ensuring that it is flush on either side. You can now trim that part off. And there we have that. Those pieces can go straight to the bin. So we've got 4 journal cards, 2 tags, a much bigger tag which can easily become a pocket or a tuck spot. At this point in time it can be so much, but let's just round the edges. I love using this other corner rounder that has got this edge, and I guess I just turned it into a journal card too, which is not a problem. And again, if you don't use it for this time around, you will have it for the next project that you will be working on. So let's see, where can we add this one to? Oh, I kind of like the key, and if I can, I would then try to just keep that, not cut that off, but trim it off at the bottom. So let's see where we can add this. He will still stick out. So if we add this, we can't add too much, because remember our little box is only 2 centimeters high, so we really can't add too much bulk to this journal, which is why there's so many pages that will still be open that we can write on with a white pen or add some other things to it. We still got some spaces left. Right, let's add this one. Let's see where we will add that. On this page we can't add anything. This will be glued to the box, which would happen soon. And let's just find our little flap. There we go. Let's see, will it be the tags? That will be cute, and they fit in nicely, not sticking over. They will still fold easily. I think I like them. We can maybe just punch a hole and put a black ring there, just to bring in the black color a little bit more. I like that a lot. There are our tags, which are also then journal spots, because you can write at the back of it. If the white cardstock is bothering you, if you want it more cohesive, you can go ahead and then cover it with black paper so that it is fitting in more with the theme. And then if you give this as a gift, my suggestion is that you also give the person that you are going to gift this journal to a white pen so that they can write on the black then. If you want to leave it as such, as a journal spot with white, you can do that. I want to ink the edges. Let's finish that off, and then we will be working on these ones in the next session. So vintage photo, I'm going to use some vintage photo. Just ink the edges so that we can hide that white core of the cardstock. I like that. It looks a whole lot different. If you look at that and this, it just looks as if it's rounded off. There's our 2 tags. I want to add a little bit of stamping with black ink. I want to use archival ink, black suit, and let me just get a stamp block. This is a stamp set from Carabel Studio in France, and it's called Steampunk. I can't even pronounce it. I will not even try. Le Fay Papillon. Don't ask me. I'm not speaking French at all, so I'm probably, not probably, I am definitely mispronouncing that completely. I just want to make sure that this is inked up well. And I want to add those cogs more or less here. And I just want to bring this into the view of the camera. And there we have that one. Just that little bit of steampunk that is showing up there. And for this one, we can do this wing set. Some mechanical flying something. Let's add that there. And there we have that. So there are our two tags for today. So in today's session, we had a look at the different pages. We added a flap where we can add these tags. We made a masterboard and we cut it up, and we went ahead and decorated the tags. Let's add that to the flaps, and there they are in our accordion journal. Thank you for joining me today. Please go try this for yourself, and remember, whatever I show you is not the prescription. You can really truly go and make it your own. Try for yourself. If you don't like it, like I didn't like the yellow in this, I took it out and I did what I felt a little bit more comfortable with. So really, really make this yourself. These are only suggestions. It is to try and help you to become more creative and start doing journaling for yourself. If you want to see more content like this, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscription bell and the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload new content. See you back soon. Goodbye.